it up. Back at it again. It's the State of Football, Part 80, here on your new home for talking football. It's the State of Football. It's what we do here weekdays, 9 a.m. Eastern. Ric Serritella here at the Jersey Shore, bringing it to you raw, bringing it to you live, bringing it to you unfiltered. We appreciate everybody tuning in across the Twitterverse, Facebook, Periscope. It's for the people, so chime in. If you have questions, it's a Football Friday. It's a jam-packed show. Going clockwise here, down in the Virginia, Richmond area, we've got Big Law, Seven City Shop Talk, Lawrence Johnson, Woo World Radio. The job list just keeps expanding and expanding. Down to New Orleans, of course, John Murphy, my co-host each and every day, VP of Player Personnel, Toronto Argonauts. Oh, we've got rings on the panel today. Two-time Grey Cup champion, of course, David Turner, three-time three-peat champion with the Arizona Rattlers, CFL executive, longtime NFL scout, Giants, Panthers, Raiders, Dolphins, and a few others that my memory, I'm just getting too old to keep up with it all. But nobody does it better. Nobody brings you the better guests across the football landscape. And of course, he's out in Phoenix, Arizona on this early morning. So we've got you covered from coast to coast. Spread love some. And we are going to dive right into it. Of course, big news coming out of Penn State, LSU, the ripple effects there. We saw a slew of guys continue to opt out and or declare for the NFL draft. The Senior Bowl continues to roll out the invites. I mean, they've got to be now close to 75% full of their capacity if they are going to be around that number where they were last year, 112, 115. And so there's a lot going on in the football universe. The Pac-12, oh, by the way, approved out-of-conference schedules. So, again, if you're in the chat room, you've got a question, we'll try to do our best to have answers. Of course, last night, it's the Cardiac Kids. Tulsa comes from behind. We go into double overtime, and it's amazing. Zaven's time. Zaven Collins with the 96-yard interception return to come back at the end. Probably the more exciting of the game of the two. I watched the replay after I watched the Thursday night football affair where, the panel came across with the W, except for David Turner, by the way, who had the Cardinals along with myself. So a lot to discuss, a lot to get to. I'll kick it off with my co-host, John Murphy, and see where he wants to begin this lovely morning here on November 20th, 2020.
Well, I think you brought it into perspective there. That was the college game was 0-0 going into the third quarter. And you got to give Tulsa credit. That was not their first string. Quarterback got hurt. Second stringer came in. Boomer Sooner, he got knocked out the game. And then here comes the kid off the bench, and he outperforms everybody, there. So, kudos to how they finished. I think Tulane thought the kid at the end of the game was already standing at the back of the end zone. I mean, you got to be a little more physical back there with the guy than to just let him jump up and catch it. And then you double down with, the worst case scenario for them. But the best case scenario, if you're the best player in the game going into the game, there's no better way to have finished that game for Zaven. He's going to be able to literally use that highlight, as an accent, to the factor that he might be the best, for sure, the best player in that conference, and a guy that has continued to kind of level up, every time you see him play. 15 tackles to go along, with that, and the factor that they're kind of using him a little more in space, which is allowing him to show the all-around type of player he can be. So, obviously we transition and you see a guy that went top 10 that was able to be that Swiss Army knife for Clemson last year, and the more they're playing Isaiah Simmons, the more you're seeing, how much they can get out of him and all the different things he can do. I think last night, all of a sudden Seattle found, without their lead rusher, you found a rushing attack that had a little balance to it. And the plays that kind of, I think the ball that bounced the way of Arizona the first time didn't bounce that way. And then the one thing that Seattle added at the trade deadline showed up big time last night, in the middle of the game and at the end of the game, and that was Carlos Dunlap, and a little bit of an improved pass rush was able to help them be a little better than they were, the last time. So I think, if we see a third matchup, it's up for grabs. It would probably be where is it played?
Yeah, and you mentioned the going back to the Zaven Collins. I thought for sure he's in that top 100 conversation. And you hear last night, again, it's an ESPN broadcast, take it for what it's worth, but they're saying, hey, here's a first round guy. I don't know if he goes that high, but I'm not going to put it past him either at this point. The way he's playing this year, lights out, a signature moment there on national TV. What a great timing. And you mentioned Carlos Dunlap, you mentioned Isaiah Simmons, two guys that came through in the clutch for each of their teams respectively last night. We'll go over to the Dr. David Turner, who had the Arizona Cardinals picked to win, by the way. We gave him the chance to double down on the T-shirt, and he said, no, I got the Cardinals. But it is, your boy Russell cooking again with gasoline, and the Seahawks come out on top victorious.
Well, it was fun to watch last night. I was sitting there watching this game, and Dunlap did more for the pass rush, but the blitzing that they did off the edge and the way they were coming just at Russell, or not at Russell, but at Kyler, just not letting him stay on his spot. I mean, all night, I want to say if I had the averages right, they blitzed almost 70% of the snaps. They brought more than 4. So, it was a situation where they knew they had to get Kyler off his spot, but still contain him inside the pocket. You saw the edge rushers get upfield and try to trap him in, and then the secondary blitzers come in B and A gap, trying to get that pressure in his face, so it was hard for him to see and throw. So that I think the philosophy on defense, which was putting pressure on Kyler but trapping him inside the pocket, went really well for Seattle. Whereas the first matchup, they weren't able to do that as well. So I was really impressed with Seattle's that way. And Dunlap, like John said, I mean, he had 2 sacks last night, but he was in the backfield and causing havoc. So that was a good pickup for him. It's the old man showing he's got a little bit of juice left in his tank. So he was getting in there. So that was good. I still think the running game is the key for the Seattle Seahawks. You saw they got Carlos Hyde back last night, and they attacked this Cardinals defense on the edges. They were running outside most of the night. The first quarter, I don't think they ran one play inside the tackles. Everything was on the edges, just getting to the edge, getting to the outside, and making plays. And they were picking up 4 or 5 yards every time they were going outside. So the Cardinals defense wasn't doing a good job of setting that edge, trapping their plays inside, and allowing them to get outside. And a lot of the pass plays, too, were outside the numbers. They weren't attacking the middle of the field too well. So, for Seattle, they came in with a really good game plan. I didn't know they were going to have the horses on that defense to contain what we've been seeing out of this Cardinals offense, but I was really happy to watch that game. It was a well-fought game on both sides. I mean, the Cardinals were in it to the last few plays there, like last 30 seconds or so. So I mean, it wasn't like they got blown out. It was a really good back and forth fight, and it was good to see them. But I want to know what happened with Kyler's shoulder. If you notice, like in the first quarter, he started carrying it really, really low, and all game they were heating it, they were treating it. So I don't know what he did to his right shoulder, his throwing shoulder, but it didn't look on last night.
Yeah, he tried to downplay it after the game, said he'll be fine. We'll definitely, continue to monitor that situation. You mentioned Carlos Dunlap. Good to see an LJ Collier sighting, too, the former, I think, first-round pick, who's been relatively quiet. He comes up with the sack. Big law, just when you thought you got the NFC figured out, the Cardinals are red hot. Then the Seahawks go back on top. Now you've got the Saints, who we thought were the front runner, and now Drew Brees. Oh no, you take a seat, sir. And unlike the AFC, where I think it's kind of Steelers and Chiefs, as the 2-dog race, the NFC right now I think is wide open for the taking.
Absolutely. You thinking about a conference where you got everybody at the top is 2 and 3 losses. Everybody. And it's kind of like, the parity. People don't want to believe in parity or act like parity exists, but this is definitely a parity type of a situation you got going on in the NFC. The game last night, And watching Kyler Murray and jumping on what David said, yeah, they played a great game as far as Seattle to contain him. They're writing the book on him, as they would say. They're finding out how to guard this guy and to keep him contained in the pocket. The reason why I think Seattle was, they made it one-dimensional. I think he had less than 25 rushing yards, which that really makes a small guy throw from the pocket, throw over a lot of people a lot of times. And, sure, he can make the throws, but the guys on the other end have to complete it as well. So, but it was a good game. And the NFC, as always, I'm just looking for good football this weekend, every weekend. Let's just keep it running, man.
And of course, Johnny goes up one game on me, back on top in the pick'em standings. So,
That's right.
Hey, I'll have to chip away. Of course, we'll have our NFL pick'ems. We'll break down the college football weekend that's going to be. It's all brought to you by the NFL Draft Bible. Since 2002, it's what we do. Bring me the names you need to know first. We are the most reliable, the most dependable, the most accurate independent scouting source on the planet, used by all 32 NFL teams. If you want real scouting reports, real grades, real rankings, medical and background information, not just analysis, nobody takes a deeper dive than us, and we all do it because of you, because of your support, and becoming a disciple, subscribing all access, and lending your support to the independent scouting service that is the NFL Draft Bible, which allows us to stay alive and compete with some of these other mainstream media outlets. So shout out to Brian Baldinger. We had a great edge rushing seminar on Wednesday. David Turner tonight, we'll talk about it later on in the show. We'll dive into the business of football on Friday Night Scout School, of course, with Ryan Roberts, who will join us tomorrow for the NFL Draft Tailgate Show, 10 a.m. Eastern. We're live 6 days a week here at the NFL Draft Bible. So again, thank you for all the love, the support. Drop us a review, the Mav Sports Take, wherever you can find podcasts, Apple, iTunes, Blog Talk. Drop us a line, review. We appreciate it. Of course, Woo World Radio. Make sure you tune in, lock in for 7 Cities Shop Talk. I mean, we can't stop. We won't stop. And so let's go over to that, man. Big Law to get us started with some Friday Night Lights. It's always fun to have some Power 5 matchups on the docket on a Friday night. And Syracuse at Louisville, a little ACC action going on. The big news, I thought, coming out of Louisville this past week, Big Law, joystick, Javion Hawkins. I mean, he declares for the NFL draft. Here's a guy that could arguably, along with the North Carolina running backs, I believe, could very well be the first running back off the board. Throw Travis Etienne in the mix as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. I think you're looking at Mr. Joystick Hawkins there. He didn't play last week against UVA. And, they said maybe it was COVID related, but maybe it's something a little more, and seems like it is now that he's declared for the NFL, and he's the reigning rushing champion for the ACC, and not having him there, of course, made a huge difference against the Wahoos. And, when you look at Malik Cunningham and what he did last week, ran for 197 and 2 touchdowns, threw for over 160 yards. But they still can't get over the turnover bug. That's the issue that they have always had, is the turnovers. And I would like to try to put him in the same vein as Lamar, but Lamar took care of the ball better than him. But the skill set is there, the explosiveness, all of it's there. And not to mention Tutu Atwell, another pro-type athlete, quick, kind of another joystick type of a slot receiver who wasn't there due to COVID as well. So, Louisville, I know they're looking to get back, with the vengeance. And Syracuse played a great game against BC last week. Couldn't pull it off, lost 16-13. And, you're not going to get too far. You had Rex Cunningham, Tom DeVito, and now they're on Jacoby and Morgan. That's 3 quarterbacks. I feel sorry for Dino Babbers, because you're never going to be good. You're never going to go as far as you need to go when you're using 3 quarterbacks. And then the quarterbacks that were in there were playing bad. All of them are, 50%, 52% completion, 49%. You're not going to do much in any conference, when your quarterbacks are completing like passes at that rate. And Louisville looking to get back on track. I mean, you got a team that's 2-6 2-6 Louisville, 1-7 Syracuse, and I mean, I think it'll be a good game aesthetically. Just watching the game from just seeing what the athletes can do, but I got Louisville by 17. I mean, right now there's a 18.5 spread for the Cards. I'm looking at a 17-point win for the Cards.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Louisville's definitely got the weapons. I think Des Fitzpatrick is another guy there that should be mentioned, and I don't know, I feel like Syracuse could hang around, though. 18.5 points. Wow, that just seems like so many points. Tommy DeVito, what happened to you, my man? Too much, fist pumping at the Jersey Shore this summer. Come on, man. Get your game right. Get your game tight, Tommy. I had confidence in you. The tan's looking a little bit too nice. You're too much fun in the sun. All right, let's go over. We got another game on the docket tonight, Friday night. Purdue at Minnesota, John. The big story here, I think, is the running back. I mean, every time you look up, this Muhammad Abraham is running left, running right, running up, running down. He's running wild. In fact, the first player since 2004 to have 5 straight games of 140 rushing yards since Mike Hart in the Big Ten. That's a throwback for you.
Yeah, no doubt. And 2 different styles of play here. Purdue 2-1 coming off a hard-fought loss against Northwestern. Surprisingly, Minnesota 1-3 at home and an underdog. But it's 2 totally different styles here. Aiden O'Donnell, throwing the ball more, has 2 wide receivers. Zayden Horvath is their leading rusher at 252 yards. The last couple of weeks, that's pretty much been an afternoon for Muhammad Ibrahim, has been 252 yards. He's got over 750 yards rushing and 10 touchdowns. So while Minnesota's 1-3, he has been the most productive player in the Big Ten at his position so far. And when you look at Purdue, they don't run the ball, right? They're 60-something yards a game. That's where Minnesota has gotten gashed. Minnesota's defense giving up 240-plus yards on the ground. Purdue just doesn't really have the weapons to attack it that way. So if you look at what Minnesota has done well, you run the ball, you got to limit the turnovers because Purdue's been, a plus team in that category. Minnesota has done a lot of things to kind of shoot themselves in the foot. You're home, you have the running game, you have Rashad Bateman. Just don't turn the ball over, and this should be a close matchup, but a 3 to 7 point win for the home team here because you can make Purdue be one-dimensional because they kind of are. So as long as you can control the clock, play a little tougher because you do have the bigger of the offense and defensive lines there, this should be a game that's winnable for Minnesota at home because if not, you're rowing that boat with kind of 1 or the rest of the way at 1-4.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen a team that I am convincingly picking Minnesota. The Gophers, I mean, they just look terrible. Tanner Morgan has played horrible. And I don't know. You might have to sound the sirens here because Purdue, they do have the ponies to pull this thing off. And George Karlaftis is a guy that I'm probably higher on than anybody walking the planet right now. And I had a chance to see him just dominate Penn State last year. I don't think he's draft eligible yet. But, the bottom line is this. Brock Purdy, Tanner Morgan, you're both in that late day 3 category. Here's a game now, Friday Night Lights. NFL teams are probably tuning in to watch. This could sway some decision makers one way or the other if one guy really outshines the other, because I have those guys kind of in the same range right now. So how do they do when matched up, both playing on very mediocre teams at best?
Yeah, here's a good idea for both of those guys. Stock draft value, go back to school. Stay in school.
I thought you were going to say freshen up the resume because you might need another line of work.
Right now, Big Law pulled out the old high school film. He'd have a higher grade.
The state of football here, weekdays, 9 a.m. Eastern, coming to you live into your living room. We've got Big Law, Lawrence Johnson, John Murphy, David Turner going around the horn here. Okay. Over to Saturday now. We've got a handful of games against ranked opponents. Going over to the Big Ten, David Turner, the Graham Mertz hype. The Graham Mertzmobile rolls into Northwestern, number 10 Wisconsin Badgers, heading into number 19 Northwestern. This one 3:30 p.m. on ABC Saturday. What do you got for us, Mr. Turner?
Well, what's interesting here is, I mean, I think the biggest storyline that everybody's going to talk about is a Graham Mertz quarterback. His passive efficiency is over 200 right now, which is just, for any ranking, that's just outstanding to have that kind of efficient rating. A big part of that is Jake Ferguson, the wide receiver, who's already scored 24 points for him, leads the team, I think, in receptions as well. But when you look at this Wisconsin team, the first game or two that I've watched of them, I really like this defense. The defense is playing very sound. I think they're very, the Wisconsin offensive line is always going to be good, so they can run the ball and everything. So that's going to help a lot. But this defense for Wisconsin has a guy named CJ Gotze. CJ Gotze is leading the team in sacks and tackles. He's a all over the field kind of guy, and they have two cornerbacks in Caesar Williams and Rashard Wild Goose, which I just love the name Wild Goose. He's a junior, but he's got a chance to. Both these corners really lock down the outside of that defense for these guys, and they really make it a sound defense. You flip it over to Wisconsin or over to Northwestern. The transfer quarterback Ramsey from Indiana is doing a really good job for them. The two receivers, Kyric McGoran and Rashad, I can't even pronounce his last name, something Bowman, who leads the team in receptions with 18 receptions and 195 yards. They're really helping this a Northwestern team. Again, really another team led by their defense. So, their leader in sacks, Iko Latoa, has 3 sacks. Chris Bergen has 36 tackles already on the year. And this Brandon Joseph has 3 interceptions for him. So, this is going to be, I think, more one on the defense. Which defense can stop the offense right now? If this Northwestern defense can step up to the challenge and stop the run game for Wisconsin and contain Mertz's passing, that'll be the key here.
Yeah, and you see Wisconsin now getting healthier, getting some of their players back from the COVID. But I got to say, due to some of the players, I think 5 true freshmen played last week because they were shorthanded, and a new star was born, Jaylen Berger, my guy from Don Bosco Prep. Keep an eye on this young man. He is going to be the next great New Jersey running back to Wisconsin, to the NFL pipeline. Courtesy.
Oh, you're anointing him already, are you?
The pride of Newark, New Jersey, Brick City, baby. Jaylen Berger. Keep an eye on this young man. He is going to have something to say. And now you take a look, too, with the true freshman backfield of Mertz and Berger. It sounds like a law firm, right? You're going to be hearing from those guys for at least another couple of seasons. All right. The one storyline that's been buried here, David, sticking in your corner, going over to the Pac-12 now. Nobody really seems to be talking about it. Maybe they are over there on the left coast. I haven't heard a peep of it. But Chip Kelly, remember me? He returns to Eugene. UCLA goes into Oregon. You really don't hear too much about it. And I think it's just a testament to just how far you talk about the Graham Mertz hype train. The Chip Kelly train is like off the rails at this point. There is really not a lot of buzz surrounding this matchup.
Well, it's because Chip Kelly doesn't really deserve any buzz anymore. I mean, when he was in Oregon, he had all the buzz in the world. He was the captain of the universe up there. But now, I mean, from how he's dismantled the Eagles, dismantled the Niners, he's been exposed. It's not that great of a coach. I think a lot of his assistants in Oregon really helped him out, and he had great coaching staffs that worked with him up in Oregon. Plus, when you got Nike back and everything, it kind of helps in recruiting and getting some of the better athletes too. But I don't think anybody's giving much thought to Chip Kelly anymore, and his fizzle is just gone. He has to win this game in order to gain it back. But number 11 Oregon, they're really leading the way, and they have this redshirt junior running back CJ Verdell that's really something out there. I think he's going to run through this UCLA defense. You look again. I think Oregon's more stacked with talent than UCLA. You got Johnny Johnson at receiver. You got the transfer wide receiver Devin Williams from USC that went up there. These guys on offense are really starting to put up some good numbers, and Oregon has some weapons there to work with. And then on their defense, they got two big guys in the middle, Jordan Scott and Austin Falalui. I'm probably completely butchered that. Get me the cleaver. But the D tackles up front, just pushing in the middle of the offensive line. It kind of reminds me of what we had in Carolina when we had KK and Starr, pushing the middle of the defensive line, the offensive line, and putting pressure in the quarterback's face right up the middle. And then guys like Noah Sewell is just leading the team in sacks, and Nick Peckett's leading the team in tackles. I mean, but the one stat I found interesting about Oregon, 0 interceptions on the year so far. So this isn't a team that's creating turnovers. They're winning the battle in the trenches and getting the offense off the field, causing punts, and not making turnovers, but making the down markers turn over. So, that's just it. When you look at UCLA, when you talk about matchups, they got a couple receivers, Kyle Phillips and Irwin there, but the running back has 206 yards, Dulich already. So you got to look for him to maybe help this offense, get going if they can win the battle in the trenches. I still give the trenches to Oregon in this matchup, though.
Yeah, the Oregon secondary, most of those guys have opted out for the draft. So, Ryan actually just posted a great article on Verone McKinley, the safety at Oregon, one of the best in the nation. I think the quarterbacks will be a fun show, as in Tyler Show, the young gunslinger there for Oregon. Of course, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who David's not a huge fan of, but I think has potential, at least the potential.
Potential's a coach killer.
Yeah, well, he's got it. He's got a lot of it. So, I don't know. I might sound the sirens on this one too. I think Chip Kelly might have one last win.
You know what? He just gives me the gauge. All he does is give me the games he's going to sound the siren on. And you guys notice that? Like, he assigns me the games every week that he's going to sound the siren on. You guys, he's like, oh, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. With David Turner, siren alert, siren alert, siren alert.
Siren. Sound the siren.
It's like a freaking firehouse going off every time I got a game I start talking about. You think there's going to be guys coming down poles over here when we talk about one of my games.
Woo! Sound of sirens.
The sound of the siren is going to be to call the dogs off. That's about the only thing that's going to happen in that game.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The Ducks are going to quack all over the Bruins. It's just the way it's going to be.
All right, I'm going against the grain. That's my upset special of the week. UCLA over Oregon. Little West Coast flavor for you.
I am finding a siren on freaking Amazon and sending it to you. And it's just going to be the David Turner. And I'm going to get you a little fireman's hat you can wear, too. Every time I come on, you're going to wear the fireman's hat.
We're going to have two sirens, one for everybody else, and then a big old siren just for David Turner.
Exactly.
We're going to have the gong.
Put the megaphone on it.
All right, so moving right along, we've got another matchup of ranked opponents in the Big 12 Big Law. Number 14, Oklahoma State at number 18, Oklahoma. Here you've got the Sooners really dominating the Bedlam series here. They've won 5 in a row, I believe 15 out of the last 17. But if there was ever a year for the Cowboys to buck that trend, they've got to be licking their chops at the opportunity here.
Yeah, they can lick their chops all they want because I guess this is rivalry week. We're getting a little bit of rivalry week early here in another episode of Lincoln Riley versus Mike Gundy. That whole series are going on with super coaches. Now, this is also the battle of the Spencers. You got Spencer Saunders, who is the quarterback of OSU. He's okay. I mean, he's talented. I think he's a I'm not sure exactly how far they're gonna continue to. I mean, they're 5-1 with him, but I don't know if they have enough to beat the Oklahoma State Sooners. Oklahoma Sooners, man. I mean, we're looking at a team that lost their first 2 games, which was unprecedented for OU to lose that many games that early in the year. But they're on a 5-game win streak right now, and I can see, them really starting to get into rhythm. Spencer Rattler is getting in. He had got benched, but he came back and he's playing some good football, steady football now, and they actually have an opportunity to get back into the Big 12 championship picture. And I'm looking at Oklahoma State, and I'm like, I don't see them holding that. Okay, and this is the first time they have an opportunity to really drill down and stamp out their rival. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. I think the wave, the maroon wave is coming, man, and you can't stop them. I think it was almost a good thing. Sometimes, when you're talking, if they get a loss early in the year, it will it'll get them going for the year. They got 2 losses, so they have no room for mistakes. And I see a win for the Oklahoma Sooners, and I'm saying 10 points, 10-point win.
All right, Oklahoma making a comeback here. I don't know. I who's favored in this game? Do we know? I want to sound the siren.
-7 OU. -7 OU.
I don't know. Call me crazy, fellas. I think Oklahoma State wins this game outright. I don't know.
Ooh.
Well, we call you crazy all the time, so that's nothing new.
Well, okay, I guess I'll go against the. We'll see this next game if I can stay on the upset alert.
This is Oklahoma, like what Big Law said. Those early games where it was just a continuation of the bad defensive play that we'd seen in big games for Oklahoma the last couple of seasons. When you got to halftime of that Texas game, and it was kind of, show up or shut up the rest of that game. And Spencer Rattler rebounded. The club played tougher, harder the rest of the way. That kind of may have given them some hope, for the rest of their season, here. To me, this is the opportunity. You're playing another ranked team again in Oklahoma State, who has thrown up a bunch of yards and points on people. Here's your chance. Chuba Hubbard, they can throw for 300 and have a vertical passing game. You have Chuba Hubbard. Now you shut this down and win a game, like 30-23. Do something where, that you hold this team in check. You're writing a little bit different story, right, for this younger group of Sooners, to kind of take ownership of this team in this season. Rick, if what you're saying happens and it's same old Sooners defensively, which is why you would get, an Oklahoma State win, to me means we're going to get some points in this game. All of a sudden, I think it's back to the drawing board, for Oklahoma. So I think either way there, you're going to get an answer to what kind of team and what have these two teams learned, kind of here in that, in the middle part of their season.
And I think Oklahoma leads the all-time series like 88-13 or something crazy. Big Law, you want to chime in?
I got your siren, brother.
Sound the siren. Sound the siren. I'm putting the Sooners on upset alert. Circle those wagons. The Cowboys are coming to town. And I just think Spencer Rattler is going to have about 2 or 3 picks in this one. And the mullet is going to bask in the glory here with Oklahoma State over Oklahoma. That one, ABC, 7:30 p.m. UCLA at Oregon. That one is on ESPN2 at 3:30. I saw Ryan chime in that Dorian Thompson Robinson may not play in that game. I'll still stick with the Bruins. All right. I don't want to hear John cry that I gave him all the poopy games, because this one here is shaping up to be a good one. And boy, if I can sound the sirens on this one, wouldn't that be something? Number 9, Indiana. That's not a misprint. That's not a typo. The Hoosiers in football ranked number 9, heading into Columbus to take on the number 3 ranked Buckeyes. We're going to start off Saturday with a bang. This one, noon Eastern on Fox. Take it away.
Yeah, so the darkest day in the history of the program, according to Earl Bruce, was when he lost to Indiana 31-10. He said it was his worst day in the history of the program. John Cooper then took over Ohio State, and he resoundingly got defeated 42-7 by Indiana. So Ryan Day Don't be on the worst day in the history of the team, part 3, would be if that happened, to you this weekend, especially with, Justin Fields. But the matchups here really start giving you some reason to buy into, what could go on, right? The number 1 quarterback in terms of points and offensive production is Justin Fields. Number 2 is the Phoenix. And and can he now play that role against them? Who has had a better rushing offense? So far, Indiana has found out, who their number 1 running back is. Ohio State's best running game has been Justin Fields running the football. As Trey Sermon is kind of yet to live up to, kind of what you were expecting when he transferred in for Oklahoma. Now, where the rubber meets the road is Indiana's trifecta. Is the Whopper going to deliver against Sean Wade and Ohio State secondary? Because all of a sudden, here comes Trey Pfeifvogel and his production the last 3 weeks. They have a tight end that can be a mismatch, for them. And with Phoenix, who has not been turning the ball over. Indiana is number 9 in the country. Major reason why? They're a +8. So, I mean, they're doing really smart things in really smart moments. But it has only happened in recent history that 2 top 10 teams have met, and the line is 20.5. The line in the game is 20.5. Has only happened 4 times, and the 4 times it's happened, the average margin of victory has been 26. So, welcome to the party, Indiana. Welcome to the ass whipping, Indiana. 51-23 Buckeyes, and the only thing Indiana's going home with is a couple of nuts.
Couple of nuts, a couple of black eyes. Well, hey, you know what they say. All right. Well, on that note,
I just basically said that Indiana is going to be treated like Kevin Bacon in Animal House. Thank you, sir. May I have another? And Rick just goes, and on another note.
Yeah.
I mean, John you really need the image of Kevin Bacon up there with an Indiana T-shirt on right now.
They're not playing this game in West Virginia, but there will be some deliverance by Ohio State.
I'm waiting for that HBO contract so we can take the show to the next level here. The State of Football, weekdays, 9 a.m. Eastern. It's how we do it here each and every day. Of course, tomorrow, the NFL Draft Tailgate Show, 10 a.m. Eastern, along with Ryan Roberts. We'll also have David Turner, John Murphy, and myself. Today, we've got Big Law Lawrence Johnson joining us for the Football Friday edition. Of course, tonight, David Turner, tell the people at home what we've got cooking for Friday Night Scout School. We're finally getting into the home stretch of the 25 seminar series, and you guys are diving now into the business of football.
Yeah, for all those that have been with us through the first part of this, where we've evaluated offensive players and schemes to understand what a vertical stretch scheme is and how the decision making goes with bringing in players and knowing how to evaluate players, we're going to now take you into the business side. We're entering into the other silo of how this world works and is run. We're going to learn tonight about sponsorship, social media impact, how it's grown to be a part of the decision-making process, how people, players, executives, teams get tripped up with these social media posts because now everybody's a reporter, everybody's got a cell phone and a camera. So, and how a simple one-word tweet can go fire and turn into a league-wide decision-making process to make changes happen and stuff. So if you've always been interested, like why certain decisions are being made and how come a sponsor might have so much control over what's happening inside buildings and things, come listen tonight, come take part in this class tonight, because we're going to peel back a little layer of the business side of football and let you see, we're going to start to let you see tonight how the decision-making process gets affected by more than just on-field play and talent.
Yeah, it's going to be really eye-opening stuff. I had a chance to sit in with Ryan and David and Dakota yesterday and shoot some topics around the roundtable and what they've got lined up tonight in Friday Night Scout School. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you use the promo code Familia50. Take advantage of it. It's good for the entire website. Become a disciple today. I do have an update. I can announce one thing. It's the bad news part of it. Next week, I'll have the good news part of it. The bad news is, unfortunately, there's a very limited time. If you want a hard copy publication of the NFL Draft Bible, you must order that within the next week. It's due to an announcement that we have coming in the future. There it is. Big Law's got it. If you want your hard copy edition, if you
He
want
sleeps with his Bible. His Bible is in his nightstand. Left drawer, baby. Left drawer of the nightstand. Big Law sleeps with you.
and believe you me, if you order the 2021 version, you too will sleep with your Bible.
You too.
Because
You'll never be alone at night. You'll always be able to.
You'll always have a scouting report to dive into.
Exactly.
728 last year. We're going to smash that record this year. But it's part of an exciting announcement that we will have for you next week. The unfortunate news is that we will only produce a limited edition amount of hard copies, and those who get in their orders by the end of the month here will receive a hard copy edition. Now, we'll still have the PDF on our new platform, but if you want the hard copy, which I know a lot of you out there do like to collect and archive, get on board and take advantage of the promo code Familia50, and you save 50%. And oh, by the way, you get a free copy of the Scout Speak book as well, courtesy of our good friend Neil Stratton over at Inside the League. All right, NFL Chop Shop, sharpen up the blades, fellas. Tennessee Titans 6-3, heading down to Baltimore, also 6-3. One of our NFL games of the week. This is going to be Sunday on CBS, 1 p.m. Big Law.
Yes, this is going to be a slobber knocker of a game, as they would say, in old school terms in NFL films.
We got nuts. We got slobber knockers. Where's the show going today?
I don't know. HBO is where it's going. But because the content is getting a little racy here. But back to this. Looks like you're gonna have two teams that are very similar. That run the ball, tough-minded teams. Mark Vrabel, you think Belichick. Vrabel, you're thinking the coach that is gonna scheme you out of the game, gonna take care of all the things you like to do well, gonna take them away from you. I'm looking forward to seeing how much he's going to take away from Lamar. Both of these teams started off fast, and a lot of people had them saying, "Oh wow, these are some of the best teams in the AFC." But as it's gone through, both of them are now 3-loss teams. Okay, and some of the weaknesses have showed up. But I gotta tell you, people think about King Henry, and leading the league in rushing. He's an animal. All the stats, all the highlights. How about Ryan Tannehill for MVP? The man has 20 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and he's a steadying force.
He was just Smiley Smurf a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
He's
going to turn into Jokey Smurf pretty soon. But I gotta eat a little crow here. I like it grilled, so I gotta give it what credit is due. And he's done a good job in navigating the team. It's just sometimes the defense isn't doing what it needs to do for this team to have a better record than what it does. And as of right now, the Ravens cannot play from behind. Tannehill and the troops and Henry, they're going to come out, try to get the lead, and just play keep away from the Ravens, because Lamar is shown that Lamar is still having issues trying to win the big game against the big teams. If you remember last time, they got whopped. They got beat to death in the AFC, when the AFC playoff games last year. Henry rushed for almost 200 yards. It was a brutal game, but that's the old school football, like the Ravens and Steelers. Now the Ravens and Titans have really turned into that, where you got two teams ground oriented, and I'm just looking forward to a great game. AJ Brown, Corey Davis are good receivers as well, and I think that they got their work cut out for them trying to go against the Ravens defensive backfield. But it's going to come down to what can Lamar do. Can Lamar take the next step and be the quarterback, the MVP that everybody projected or he projects him to be this year like he was last year.
And the prediction is?
The prediction, I'm going to give it to the Tennessee Titans. I'm looking at Tennessee Titans for a 10-point victory.
See, I've gone the other way. I was high on the Titans. Now I'm down on the Titans. I think the Ravens are going to kind of surge here late in the season. I know the tight end Boyle is out, but Hollywood is coming on. And I think you're going to see Hollywood Brown make some big plays. I think the Ravens. Well, hey, listen, when you throw to Hollywood, you don't have to be accurate. You just have to outthrow the defense.
Oh, well, then you have a shot because you said the first part, don't be accurate. You got that nailed down.
Well, just throw it out there. Let Hollywood run underneath it. He'll go find it, if he's got to adjust. So I'm going to go Ravens here.
John having his coffee this morning. Can I get some? I need some of that.
I call that
there is lead in his pencil today. Baby.
So if he's taking the Ravens, I'm going to call that a 2-game lead by the time we start the 4:00 game.
All right. Well, hey, you take those Titans, buckle up because.
Hey, you know who's not playing? Brandon Williams. No tackle for the Ravens. Anytime he doesn't play, the Ravens defense gives up 170 yards on the ground. Who are they playing this week?
King Henry.
Brandon Williams playing this week?
Hey, you're underestimating the Gus bus, I guess. Gus Edwards, Rutgers via the U. Hop on board the Gus bus, baby.
Every road back to New Jersey.
Can Gus play one technique? Can Gus play one technique or zero?
Just like Tom. Every road leads to Louisiana.
He's probably pushing 270.
Hey, you've been diving into these? Have you been taking these? Are you in these?
Well, hey, you guys can go with your Titans. I'll take the Ravens. This next one, I'm curious to see where John's going to go with it because there might be another game. I pick up an edge here with the Packers, 7-2 now, going into Indianapolis, 6-3. Two teams where their records might look better than who they truly are. What do you got here, Murph?
Yeah, and so, again, a real interesting matchup here because you have the 6th-rated offense getting back to kind of full strength. They're going to activate Lazard, try to get him back, kind of in the mix here against the number 1 overall defense. And here's another time. We just mentioned it, Oklahoma State. Have you learned your lesson from earlier in the season? Last time Green Bay had a real opportunity was against Tampa Bay with a ranked defense and a defense that attacked and was able to play them in a different style. Here's your matchup again, where you have a defense that can attack, make you a little more one-dimensional, put Aaron Rodgers to where it's going to be a lot more throwing, and can you match up and protect him? And on the flip side, this is a defense that did not play well against Rivers last year with the outside weapons. Now, he doesn't have those same weapons in Indianapolis, but he has a better line. He has T.Y. Hilton in his second week back from injury, where he only had 4 for 40 in his first game back. And we're still trying to figure out the pieces to the running game behind Nyheim Hines. He's been the favorite guy. He's getting the ball in a number of different ways. Jordan Wilkins has actually kind of picked up the slack here, for Taylor, who had that fumble. And that fumble has kind of gotten either in his head or in Frank Reich's head because the play calling has not gone Jonathan Taylor's way here, in those last couple weeks. However, he was very successful when he played at Wisconsin, so wouldn't be surprising here for him to feel comfortable playing against Green Bay, get him a couple of touches. For Green Bay to win, I think the pass rush has to do better than the names of the guys, right? They've had big stats last year, but so far, really only one of them is playing the same way. Preston hasn't really given you as much. Rashawn Gary shows up once in a while, but so far has not, been what you're looking for, here. And I think that the schedule here after this game favors the Colts to really have a shot with a win here at home. And if the Titans struggle the way Rick's predicting, the Titans could be on, playoff alert if they don't win that game this week because of the schedule that the Colts have the rest of the way. I think we're going to see the same thing. Aaron Rodgers and LaFleur, they've had one little thing so far that hasn't worked well, and that's them against a top 10, top 5 kind of defense. I'm seeing a repeat offender, here. The Colts give them the same kind of trouble that the Buccaneers did, and every time you think that next team in the NFC is just going to go and run away, they kind of show their soft spot. And for me, where the Packers have that soft spot is you make them one-dimensional. And as much as that seems to make Aaron Rodgers be the flavor of the day and an easy pick, 45, 50 throws and not a balanced attack, that's a recipe for disaster. And the Colts have proven that defense is possibly something that could give them an edge on getting the playoff and getting to the playoffs in the AFC.
Big Law, you got that siren?
Uh-oh.
Sound the sirens. Sound the
Yes.
sirens. Sound the sirens.
It's coming. It's
Not so
coming.
fast, my friend. Oh,
There it is.
I got an upset alert. Philip Rivers, pull over. Because I got news for you. I believe there's a secret weapon here. Okay, the Packers offense is clicking. Aaron Jones is going to be ticking. You've got not only Devontae Adams now clicking on all cylinders, but secret agent, man, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who I had 5 years ago at the College Gridiron Showcase. 149 yards, career high last week. Do not underestimate this man. And I got news for you. These two teams have not played for 4 years. It was a close game. I think it's going to be very similar fashion, a close game once again. However, I'm going to flip it and reverse it. You see the score 31-26. I'm going to go the other way. I think the Packers come out on top. You saw the Hail Murray. That was the first Hail Mary victory in about 5 years. If you remember Rodgers to Rodgers on a primetime game, I have a feeling there might be another rabbit coming out of the hat with Mr. Rodgers here. I've got the Packers, so John and myself are going to disagree here on the NFL Week 11. And, of course, we bring it all home with Sunday Night Football, of course, 8:20 p.m. on NBC. My Oakland Raiders, or Las Vegas Raiders, going for the season sweep of the defending champions, Raiders 6-3, your former squad, David Turner.
Oh, yeah.
Hosting the defending champion Chiefs at 8-1. What do you got for us here?
Well, I'll be the first to say when the Raiders went into Kansas City and came out with a 40-32 victory last time, I was surprised. I didn't know the Raiders offense can really put up that kind of points. And again, the Chiefs at that time were rolling. And even now, they won 5 of the last 6. I think their last loss might have been to the Raiders. So, here where the Raiders are getting, I think 5.5 or 8 points and the over-under is 56, you got to look at this where, if you're betting the game, you're betting the over because, and again, my problem, if I read the reports right, I think the Raiders' entire defense is on contact tracing alert or something. So it's like, the COVID is taking over on how you bet games and how you do things. And you don't know who's going to be playing up until game time here. So, if truly the Raiders have to sit a couple of their defenders, it's going to be hard to stop this Kansas City Chiefs offense. It's hard to predict this game here on Friday because I just don't know who's going to line up on Sunday and actually play with the reports coming out of Las Vegas and the Raiders locker room right now. But, I think the Raiders are playing extremely well, extremely efficient football, and this could be a very interesting game. If it was full roster versus full roster, you might actually give the edge to the Raiders being at a home field advantage slightly. But with that being said, what we know right now, there's probably going to be some players sitting. You got to think Kansas City is coming in to avenge that loss, get to the 9-1, secure their spot at the first or second slot in the playoff run and get that home field advantage to the everybody coming through Kansas City to get to the road to the Super Bowl.
And the prediction was
Kansas City with what I know today. It's just hard. It's you want to sit here and be definitive on so many of these things, but the reports out of Vegas is, that defense, like everybody's on contract tracing alert right now. So you don't know if it's going to be a complete practice squad lining up on defense for them.
Well, this might be another game, John. I don't know where you're going to go, but I'm not hopping off my Raiders train just yet. And, I think the Raiders are going to take this one. So again, I love the sirens, baby. We're ringing them loud.
Every game he gives me, there's a siren. It just look at the lineup, and it's just siren games.
It just happens. Patrick Mahomes.
It's like a New York City block here.
You're an upset alert. And shout out to Travis Kelce, who's putting together what a resume. I mean, through his first 8 seasons now, he's now going to pass Tony Gonzalez for the most catches, 565 catches through 8 seasons. Only Jason Witten has more, 617. Some other news and notes that I thought was interesting. Matt Prater, you saw him win the game with that 59-yard game-winning field goal last week. He's now converted 57 field goals of more than 50 yards. That's incredible. Sebastian Janikowski, the only kicker in NFL history with more. Mm-hmm. And Janikowski, a Hall of Fame borderline guy. You don't really think of Matt Prater in that category, but I got news for you. He's right there with him in terms of long distance, dialing it up. It is anyway. And then how about undrafted in the common draft era? James Robinson now, just the 5th player. He's on pace now to become the 5th player in NFL history to be undrafted and have over 1,000 yards from scrimmage his rookie season. He's got 917 yards. The only other guys to do that, Dominic Rhodes in 2001, Philip Lindsay in 2018, Clark Gaines in 1976, and LeGarrette Blount in 2010. So James Robinson there joining some rarefied air. And if you're here each and every weekday, 9 a.m. Eastern, it's rarefied debate, football conversation. And that's what we do here on the State of Football, your new home for real football talk in the mornings. Of course, tomorrow we'll be back with the Tailgate Show, 10 a.m. Eastern. It's brought to you by NFLDraftBible.com. Make sure you log on, check out Ryan's mailbag, check out the Mav Sports Take podcast, check out the Friday Night Scout School, Baldy Breakdown. And remember, there's limited time. If you want the hard copy publication, you'll really only have about a week or so left to secure that book. So we appreciate all the love and the support. It's time for parting shots here on part 80. Wow. Of the State of Football here on November 20th, 2020. 2020. Maybe I should go to the horse track and bet the 2020. But Big Law, parting shots here on a Football Friday. Tell everybody at home what you got going on. Take it away.
Looking forward to it this weekend. I'm going to go check out UVA against Abilene Christian. I feel like John. Abilene Christian coming to Charlottesville. Going to be in the press box for that, checking that game out, checking out the team. So I have that running, and I'll ECU, of course, playing tomorrow as well. So be checking it out with one of my other affiliates. But you can catch me anytime online, Facebook. Also, you can look for me on Woo Radio. You can download the app and get me there, where our show actually not debuted last week, but it's on every week, every Friday from 6 to 7.
Woo World Radio. That's later on tonight. Make sure you check it out and tune in. I know I will be. That'll be my pregame show to the Football Friday kickoff, leading you right into the start of the college football action. Of course, David Turner will be tuned in and locked in, gearing up for his Friday Night Scout School. Of course, Mav Sports Take, and of course, Maverick Sports Consulting. The man wears many, many hats. So, David Turner, what would you like to impart upon our listening audience at home here today?
I got to go back to stay safe. COVID cases are on the rise around the country, so everybody's got to be, diligent about wearing their mask, washing their hands, and being safe. Going into Thanksgiving week next week, really, if you're going to get together with your families, think of mom and grandpa and all the elderly when you are making these decisions. Keep everybody safe around you. It's just not about you. It's about everybody in your family, everybody around you, because everybody's immune system is different. And you could jeopardize somebody's health and you're not even meaning to. So think about all that when you are, out and about and getting tired of wearing masks and the fatigue is wearing in on washing hands. And in the cold season here now, your hands are getting dried and cracky from washing them and all that stuff. You know what, guys, gals, everybody listening, seriously, just stay diligent at it because these cases are on the rise, and you would hate to lose somebody close to the holidays here coming up.
Well, I would say hunker down. It's going to be a long winter, whether you like it or not. It's the reality. So I don't care if you're one of the people who don't believe in COVID or you all in on COVID or somewhere in between. The reality is you're seeing it in Jersey. You're seeing it in Cali. We're going back on lockdowns. Again, whether you like Joe Biden or not, there's going to be more lockdowns coming. I can guarantee you that. So bunker down. And that's the reality. And so we're happy to see that you got home safe from your ANC Combine trip in Houston as you continue to create opportunities for the street free agents here in the pandemic that don't have any avenues. And so, hey, the doctor always imparting us with the latest and greatest from around the globe, not just on the gridiron, but the worldwide news that you need to know here. And of course, my co-host and David Turner will be with us tomorrow on the NFL Draft Tailgate Show, along with my co-host here each and every day, John Murphy, Toronto VP of Personnel down in New Orleans. John, parting shot for the people.
Well, Carson Wentz is glad that Myles Garrett has not been following, obviously, all the rules that David Turner just gave out because he's on the COVID list, so that means he will not play, which means the Eagles actually have a shot at winning that game if Carson Wentz can pull himself together. Detroit and Carolina, we've heard about Teddy Bridgewater may not play. The other thing we might get is we may get an Adrian Peterson sighting, and, there's not going to be many of these games left, where Adrian Peterson has a shot to kind of give you that one more afternoon in the sun where you get to watch a Hall of Famer kind of do his thing. If they're without Swift this week, we could get a lot of Adrian Peterson against Carolina defense. And that could give you that one more time of seeing, 20 for 100, out of Peterson. And one of these weeks could be this one, Bengals at Redskins. One of these weeks, we're going to get a Ron Rivera post-game game ball exchange with a lot of hugs and tears, between him and Alex Smith. And if you're looking for one, this could be the week. And the other one is that haircut might have left something to be, to be determined out there for Justin Herbert. But the Jets arriving at 0-9 and potentially without 3 of their 4 starters in the secondary. Oh, Adam Gase, it's going to be 0-10 and probably not really pretty at all whatsoever. And, final shot there is, boy, have you ever seen anybody other than a guy who's losing an election grab at more straws to get back in front with no chance of getting back in front than Rick today with all his upset alerts? The only person grabbing at more straws than him is Trump.
Well, we will be back at it again on Monday when I return to my lead on top of the Pick'em standings. Of course, John with the 1-game lead. We post them every Sunday morning if you've been keeping tabs. And, it's been another hour of power. It's always fun chopping it up with La Familia here on the State of Football. Again, weekdays, 9 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at NFL Draft Bible for all the latest and greatest news. We're going to have some really special announcements coming very soon. I'm really excited for where everything is heading for the NFL draft season. It's really going to be remarkable, this 2021 draft cycle, because where last year was semi-unprecedented, at the time it was unprecedented. I think this is really unprecedented where you don't, last year we just had the pro days canceled. This year we're now navigating a postseason where we are in danger of all-star games being canceled. We're in danger of the combine being canceled. We're in danger of not having any of this draft season festivities. And I tell you what, if there's a hiccup in the senior, it's all trickle effect. If there's a hiccup in the Senior Bowl and anything like the Spring League transpires at the Senior Bowl, that combine will not go off. And I tell you what, if the Senior Bowl and combine have a hiccup, there will not be pro days. And you know what that means? To John's point earlier in the show, if you're not a draftable guy, go back to school. Go back, improve your film grade, because chances are you might not get tested this year. You just might not. And so
then, tested is just not for your 40.
Well, with the NCAA giving you an extra year, take advantage of it. If you're not on the board yet, take that extra year that they're giving you. And on a lighter note, I got to ask you, everybody, what's your favorite Thanksgiving dinner? What's your favorite food at Thanksgiving dinner?
there you go.
It's got to be the stuffing. Come on now.
My man, I'm with the stuffing.
That guys love stuffing.
That's it, man. It's stuffing, baby.
So at my house, like by time the turkey and the stuffing and everything else comes out, it's already been like we have the Italian Thanksgiving. So it's like the turkey's an afterthought, and we take care of the turkey too. Don't get me wrong, but by the time the turkey comes out, we've already had a pot of braciole, meatballs, sausage.
Wow.
We got the baked ziti. You got the antipasto and the rice balls going. I can eat the provolone and mozzarella prosciutto for days, as you can see with the COVID-15 I've put on. So to me, it's like the baked ziti is just like that's the Italian Thanksgiving right there. And then, we bring out the turkey and gobble that down almost as like an afterthought. We'll be like in the kitchen 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, still putting it down, just an 8-hour binge of gobbling up on Thanksgiving. That's how we do it in Jersey.
Let's get to the bird.
Yeah.
Johnny, do we have a New Orleans Thanksgiving take?
Yeah, to me, it's always round 2, and I know I'm going to be the Grinch, but boy, I can't wait to get those MFs out of my living room and out of my kitchen and out of my get your stuff and get rolling at a certain point. We don't want to hear about your stories no more. I want to get the game in. Thankfully, the Lions, the thing that was always good was at least that was only messing up the Lions game, which was never a good game anyway. And stuff. By the time that second game comes on, I'm done with the aunties and the uncles and whoever else is coming. Thanks. I'll see you in 12 months. Pack your stuff and get moving. I'm sorry. That's me. I got a time limit. You're on a time limit when you enter the door, and most of the people visiting don't aware. Yeah,
I've got to stop watching.
I wish they were listeners. Yeah, I wish they were listeners. The only thing these people bring to Thanksgiving dinner is an appetite and some Tupperware. I mean,
to go, baby. You gotta have the to go containers.
That's it.
I mean, giving them, 3 or 4 rounds worth of food. Like, hey, I'm trying to get to round 2 at like 8 o'clock when you get that second plate and you go for the leftovers. Yeah, they're trying to take the leftovers and go home with them. I'm not having that.
Everybody got their cup, but they ain't chipped in. On that note, we'll end it like that. We'll be back at it again tomorrow night.